All right, and welcome back for another demonstration in Maya. It's been a while since I've made one of these, but I've been very busy with other projects, so that's always good. But anyway, so for this demonstration, we're going to go ahead and show you exactly a faster way of unwrapping mesh, objects. As you can see, you're looking at an already finished unwrapped object. Basically just some prison bars that I made, nothing extremely fancy. But the trick to this is the fact that you have all of these same objects right here in a lined row fashion. And the reason why I mention this is because, when you try to go to unwrap all of these, you have to do a cylindrical unwrap on each one of these, and it's very time consuming. However, there's an option in Maya where you can go ahead and transfer the UVs from one object to another if, however, they represent the same shape and height and width. So basically, for an example here, let me just go ahead and hide these. Here you have the exact same shape aligned in a row. And so what this means is that if you have this, you can go ahead and eliminate yourself a headache and just go ahead and transfer the UVs from this one to that one because they represent the same shape. So it would only make sense that you could, they would be the same. So I'm going to pretty much go ahead and show you how to do that, and this will make your unwrap times a lot faster, and you won't have to waste as much time on it. So go ahead, and then I'll just go and select all these, go into my UV texture editor, and I'll just select all these and delete them. Oh no, all our UVs are gone. All that work, all that time and effort's been wasted. Not to worry, because we can always go ahead and fix that. So what we can do is we'll do the same thing. Start off with taking our first bar right here, and we'll just go ahead and do a cylindrical unwrap and apply that. And if you don't have anything, I guess, deformed on the object, if it's just a straight parallel bar, then you should have something pretty much like this. So let me just go ahead and show you. And and with the algorithm set in with Maya, it pretty much unwraps it for you fairly well. And this isn't bad. This is pretty good. This is exactly what you want. So all you need to do is then select the UVs, and then you're going to go ahead and unfold them, and then you're going to go ahead and do an unfold constraint. And usually what I do in this situation like this is, depending on what you're unwrapping, since the bar is vertical, I would go ahead and unfold it vertical first, and then to straighten all the lines out and crunch them in together, I would do a horizontal. And there you go. So now you have yourself a pretty basic unwrap of the bar that you have right here. So let me just go ahead and to render in high quality, so then we can see the boxes a little bit more clear and crisp. And there you go. So you can see that pretty much all of the boxes are aligned, and you have a nice checkerboard layout. So now you're probably wondering, okay, well, that's easy enough, but what if I want to go ahead and transfer the UVs from this bar onto that? By all means, that is doable, and I will show you. So then you don't have to go and click on each one, unwrap, 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 etc. So you can select the first one you unwrapped, and then select the next one you want to unwrap, and this is how the process goes. So then you're going to go to Mesh, Transfer Attributes, and then you're going to get these options right here. And then let me just reset these. And nothing really changes except for the attribute settings right here. This is where you're going to want to focus on. Now, we don't want to do a sample space of world or local or UV. We actually want to go ahead and do a component, because that's what we're ultimately transferring from. So we'll go ahead and select the component part. And then as far as the mirroring, depending on what you're mirroring from, you can mirror it from the x-axis, you can mirror from the y-axis and the z-axis. And then let's say, for example, do you want to flip the UVs so they would be opposite to the original? You also have the option to do that. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and just select those as off, and then we'll just go and transfer it. So transfer, and there you go. So now you have successfully transferred the UVs from the first bar onto the next one. So now here's the trick. Let's go back to our UV texture editor, and we see that, oh, wait a minute, there's only one set of UVs here. Where's the other one? Well, this is where you have to then deselect the first one, or whatever, and select the first one, or the second one you unwrapped. Select the UVs to shell, and then we're just going to move it to the side, and then select the other one, and there you go. So when you select both of them, you see that they pretty much are the same thing, except you've just transferred from the first to the second one. And the process goes fairly similar to what I had just showed you. So then you go from this to that, transfer, and you select this in the object mode, go to UVs, transfer from here, and etc., etc. So that pretty much explains or illustrates exactly how you can transfer the attributes, or the UVs, from one object to another if they pertain to the same shape, size, length, and width. A very simple process, and surely to cut a lot of time out of your unwrapping, because it's always frustrating when you have so much. You have let's say a complex object that obviously will take an inordinate amount of time. But for the process of transferring attributes without having to go ahead and do it, simultaneously, or not simultaneously, but continuously at one after another, makes your life a lot easier. And once you have, mastered this part, you'll be, then life will be a lot easier when it comes to unwrapping. So now keep in mind though that this does not apply to obviously every situation where, let's say you have something along the lines of let's say, I don't know, you have a square and you want to transfer your objects from that to a cone. That's obviously never going to work. Or if you have, let's say for an example, a square and then you have one that's even bigger, well, you can't transfer them, because if you're transferring from one object that's smaller to one that's bigger, they're not going to correspond and they're not going to relate. Therefore, it would not work in that instance. So, and then just for demonstrative purposes, I'll just go ahead and do the same thing. Select the last one you have initially unwrapped, and then select the other one. And then if you want, you can go ahead and put this on your shelf, and you can just make the process that much easier for you. And then you can deselect the third one, and there you go. So then once you are done, you will then have all of your unwrapped objects right there in front of you. Now, let's see. You get this unusual effect sometimes. Let's say for an example, you've transferred. Let me just select these. And I don't know, for some reason it does something where, it creates this wobbly effect, which I'm not really too sure on why it does that. I think that if we are to, I guess, select all these and delete the history, that's always the first troubleshooting option I go with. That should eliminate that problem. Let's see if it does. All right, there we go. Okay, so that was an easy solve. So if you get this wobbly effect for some reason, just go ahead and delete the history. And that's always something you should do all the time, no matter what, is delete history, unless for some reason you're working on something you need to back up quite a bit. But other than that, that's how you do it. So, well, that's pretty much it for this demonstration. Hopefully that is making your unwrapping objects life that much easier. So, any questions, let me know. Otherwise, enjoy.